finally at rest, reunited with her strength and stay. Historic moment. Queen's coffin is lowered into St. George's Chapel vault, ready to lie beside her beloved Philip and parents after ceremonial wand is broken, symbolizing final end to unrivaled reign. The Queen has been laid to rest to finally be with her beloved husband Prince Philip on an historic day. Her coffin was taken to Windsor for burial after a solemn procession through London to Wellington Arch. Royals, world leaders, VIPs and hundreds of members of the public were at Westminster Abbey for funeral. The King, his siblings, children and other royals marched solemnly behind the coffin from Parliament. 2 million people flocked to London to say farewell to Britain's longest-serving monarch who died 11 days ago. The Queen has finally been laid to rest to be with her beloved Prince Philip after her crown, orb and sceptre were removed from her coffin so she could descend into her grave, as a simple Christian soul. Her Majesty has returned home to Windsor to be reunited for eternity with her husband, father, mother and sister in the royal crypt at St. George's Chapel as her 70-year reign came to an end this evening. The royal family stood at the end of the short committal service as the Queen was slowly lowered, while the Dean of Windsor said, "Go forth upon thy journey from this world, O Christian soul." He also offered the commendation, a prayer in which the deceased is entrusted to God's mercy. Moments earlier, the Dean had placed her crown and other crown jewels on the altar before the Lord. Chamberlain snapped his staff of office, signifying the severing of the Queen from her public service in death. The Garter King of Arms then pronounced the styles and titles of the Queen as all power moved to her son, the King. Before the coffin was lowered to the lament of a lone piper and Britain and the world said a tender farewell to the late monarch following 70 years of service to the nation. Charles looked deeply moved as the Queen's oak coffin descended to the crypt on a day where he appeared tearful on a number of occasions as he said goodbye to his mama, the 12th British monarch to be buried at Windsor. Her Majesty's long journey to her final resting place, and to be reunited with the Duke of Edinburgh, began in Balmoral on the day of her death 11 days ago and will end with her private interment next to her strength and stay, Philip this evening, where the King will scatter earth on his mother's coffin at 7:30 p.m. at a private family service. Britain's longest reigning monarch had been carried into the historic church followed by Charles III. Her children and grandchildren including Prince Harry and Prince William. St. George's was where the Queen had sat alone during the funeral of Prince Philip last year, in one of the most poignant images of the pandemic, and it was where she had loved to worship for so many years when at Windsor. It came on a day where up to 2 million people crowded into central London to see the coffin after the state funeral at Westminster Abbey attended by 2,000 royals, heads of state and 200 members of the public. Mourners covered the royal hearse in flowers as it travelled to Windsor from Wellington Arch this afternoon after the Queen was carried past Buckingham Palace for a final time. This morning the last of the 400,000 people to see the Queen lying in state paid their respects before she was carried on a gun carriage from Westminster Hall to the church where she married and was crowned. As an estimated 4 billion people watched on TV worldwide.